Hello, and on behalf of the Archdiocese of San Francisco, welcome to Mosaic. San Francisco and the Bay Area are, as our show's title indicates, a mosaic, where families, persons, communities of many different races, languages, and religions have come to live. The Catholic Church in San Francisco has always responded to the needs of immigrant groups and continues to do so. Today, we have pastoral ministries that serve 18 distinct ethnic groups, and that, of course, includes Chinese Catholics. The first Chinese came here, like so many people, from east and west, north and south, in the gold rush. And despite intolerance, discrimination, and many difficulties, they have endured, thriven, and contributed enormously. And new waves of Chinese continue to arrive today, to study, to work, perhaps to stay permanently. Today we will talk with Father Peter Zhai, a priest of the Divine Word Society, who directs the Chinese ministry of the Archdiocese, serving the spiritual needs of the Chinese Catholics of our area. We will learn a little history, find out what's up currently, and perhaps try to peer a bit into the future. So after this brief break, please join us for a conversation with Father Peter on Chinese Catholics. Hello, and thank you for joining us on Mosaic. Our guest today is Father Peter Zhai, Father Z-H-A-I. How do I say that?
Zhai.
Thank you, thank you. And he is, give me your title, Director of Chinese Pastoral Ministry?
Yes, I am the Director of Chinese Ministry here in Archdiocese of San Francisco.
And how long have you been doing that work?
I have been doing that work for 5 years.
Okay. And you live in the city?
Yes, I live in the city. I live in St. Anne of Sunset.
And St. Anne, I believe, is one of 6 or 7 parishes that have Chinese Mass,
yes.
Chinese worship.
We have a Sunday Mass at 12:30, actually 12 p.m. every Sunday.
And is your Mass in Cantonese, Mandarin, both?
Actually, I'm doing the Mass, so I only speak Mandarin when I came here, but I learned Cantonese. Now I celebrate Mass in Cantonese, I preach in Mandarin, but I also learn how to preach a little bit in Cantonese.
Your English is good, and I've heard you preach. I haven't heard you preach in Cantonese, but
thank you.
What is the report? It works?
Yeah, it works. I think elderly people, they do not understand Mandarin.
Okay.
So I speak to them in Cantonese, and they said, much better. They can understand now.
I think that even we who sort of live here and know very little about the Chinese community know that the major original Chinese community were people who were Cantonese speakers.
That's right.
And more the immigrant community or the current community is becoming people from the mainland who speak Mandarin as their native tongue.
That's right.
So let me ask you about yourself. You were born in China?
I was born in China, north central part of the China. And there's a province called Inner Mongolia.
Let me ask to bring up the slide now. I think it's slide number 1. It should be a map of China. And if you can see up in the yellow in the top.
Yes, that's where I was born, right in the middle of the yellow part and north west of Beijing. And
grew up there and born into a Catholic family, I'm told.
Yes, I was born into a very Catholic family, even though at that time the church were all closed. And we did not have priests or religious sisters serve us. But my family hold on the faith, and I was brought up as a true Catholic.
And it seems to me that you got some training from and discovered your vocation as a priest by the aid of the Divine Word Society?
Yes, from the very young, because my mom is very faithful Catholic, and she wants us to be religious priests or sisters. And I have 6 siblings, and she educated us in that way. So actually, when I was very young, my mother already asked me to pray for your vocation. My late mother, and she passed away 2 years ago. So that's where I got my vocation and prayed for it. Then when I grew up, I had the opportunity to get to know some missionary in China.
Yeah.
So I joined Divine Word Missionaries.
And I've looked at their website, and I knew very little about them before meeting you, but the Divine Word Missionaries are a very large organization with 4,000 priests, 2,000 brothers, works in how many countries? 85?
84 countries now, and we continue to grow. So a few years ago, we were in 72 countries, but after 3 years, we expanded to 12 more countries. So we consist of people from different countries, different nationalities. So we are really they say Divine Word Missionaries is only congregation is growing now in Catholic Church.
One of the few that is growing in vocations.
Oh yeah,
interestingly,
yeah.
Because many of them are frankly aging, and the members are not finding new members.
Yes.
And now, do you attribute the growth to the potency of your charism or to the importance of your mission?
Yeah, because we are missionaries, and so many people still interested in missionary work to bring the good news to others and to proclaim the gospel. So a lot of people want to join us. And also we are very international and very inclusive. So that's part of our charism. It's really attractive.
I read that in your training, you get cross-cultural training. I'd say you're an example of that.
Yes.
And you have, you came and studied here in the United States.
Yes, I
got
studied
an advanced degree in theology in Chicago.
Yes. I studied, first of all, when I came here, I entered into Divine Word Divine Word College. That is a college located in Iowa. So I studied my philosophy there for 4 years. Then after graduating from there, I went to CTU, Catholic Theological Union, and studied my theology there for 5 years.
And let me ask you this, would you say you're a missionary to us in California?
Very much so,
All right.
I would say, yes.
You serve the Chinese community because you have a built-in expertise in that. I imagine that your order could train you and send you to somewhere else. For instance, their newest missions are, I read, in Norway and in Burma.
Yes.
Two widely different countries.
So we are very open to our church and the society where we are needed. So whenever there's a need, we're trying to explore and send missionaries into the area and to work with a local church or to work with people who live there, yes.
And I read that your mission is particularly to the poor, and nowadays that includes the large immigrant and migrant groups that are circulating through the world, so there's a response to their needs as well.
Yes, because we are international, that's the advantage of our missionary society, because we can go to different countries and to be with your own people, to evangelize right there in a different country, but also with your own people. Just like my case, I'm Chinese, but so many immigrants here in Bay Area. So I have the advantage because I know the culture, I can work with people. In that way, it's truly God's blessing for us.
That's wonderful. And we'll come back after this brief break and talk more about the history and future of Catholicism for Chinese. Hello and welcome back. As we've mentioned, there's a long history of Chinese Catholics in San Francisco, in the Archdiocese of San Francisco. And in fact, the Chinese population, I believe, in San Francisco is about 1 in 5 of the population.
Right.
Been here for a long time, and we have a long history. Let me show you a couple of slides from the past. Slide 4, and this is a Chinese Madonna at the Chinese mission in San Francisco in the 1920s, Madonna and Child. And slide 5, this is in the 1940s, I'm told, and this is a famous drum and bell corps from St. Mary's School, which practiced for 70 or 80 years and was quite a well-known tourist attraction. But the Chinese in San Francisco have had their difficulties, but it seems to me that they were now fully assimilated. We've had historical things such as the first Chinese bishop, Monsignor Wang, named bishop in San Francisco. And you have come to serve the Chinese community here. So can you tell us about it? What is it doing? What are your activities? What are the challenges?
So from the very beginning, I think when Chinese immigrant here and our church really opened our door and to welcome all the immigrants. They had the difficulties, especially in the beginning. It's really hard for them, for the church to find a Catholic priest to serve them because not many priests are speaking Chinese. So, but gradually, and especially in the at the beginning of the 20th century, Paulist came in, and Paulist father to establish a Chinese mission at the Old St. Mary. And so from that moment on, and people really start to organize within itself. They start to evangelize. They open a Chinese school. So indeed, evangelization is always our goal for our church, and we're trying to evangelize and bring Christ to the population of Chinese in Bay Area, in San Francisco. We, since I came in, and we have tried to revive, create some programs to really start to evangelize and build up the Chinese community here.
And I noticed, if we can show this slide again, and I think this is slide 12, it would be the Chinese Catholic Pastoral Ministry homepage. Now, it's a beautiful website full of activities and news and so on. And I'm wondering, who does the website for you?
Actually, when I came in, and I know that we need a website and also get on the media, social media to evangelize. So actually, I learned how to build a website on YouTube. So I did it by myself.
Do you make it by yourself?
Yes.
Well done.
It's beautiful, but it's still in the process of working. Yes.
And let me ask, we can show this slide as well, which I think is very good. Slide number 13 is what you call your pastoral plan?
Yes, and we started to think about how to do evangelization, how to build our community. And so we had a meeting. I called all the leaders of the diocese, Chinese ministry. So we had a meeting and we worked out a Chinese evangelization plan. So this is a partial plan we're going to do. So we already started the process. We're building up. We already appointed the leaders. So in that way, we can create a lot of activities for all the Catholic and formation in it. We have evangelization, RCAA, formation, social activities, and spiritual activities. So we're going to create that.
I see many activities, and I wonder if it's attractive to the youth. It seems to me that there's a large cohort of Chinese youth that are active and interested in the faith.
Yes, there's a lot. So we're going to build a youth program. And actually, just last month, July, I organized one activity, and because a lot of young Chinese professionals, they are working in San Francisco. So I organized a barbecue. So a lot of people came. So
this is interesting. I think that the Chinese families in the Bay Area, like other families, are having fewer children.
Yeah.
But there's more Chinese immigration, or at least visitation to there's foreign students in the high schools and colleges, large groups of professionals. So you make connections with these as well?
Yes, we're going to build a Chinese probably a campus ministry on it. So this is just, we just started. So I hope we can reach out to those students in colleges and in high school. And I have been invited to different high schools to give talk.
Yes, okay.
And so there's 30-something students in Riordan High School and 30-something students in Notre Dame High School.
Yes.
So I have been in their campus and talk to them about the faith and introduce especially who is Jesus Christ, the church history, let them know.
Yeah, and I know that there's a faith formation conference which now has workshops in Chinese. And I know that our pastoral ministry has such workshops in Chinese.
Yes.
And there's more Chinese liturgy and so on. You know, in our last minute of this segment, can we bring up photos, let's say photos 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 in order like that, and quickly just roll through them to show some of the beauty that the Chinese culture has provided here to the Catholic Church. So this liturgy that we're going to see is in the cathedral, and I believe it's Chinese New Year?
Yes.
And this happens every year, and we see the masses in Chinese. We have the bishop and others participating, and then there's Chinese dancers, Chinese decoration, a blessing of ancestors and so on?
Yes.
Let's see if I've called these photos up and we can just watch them.
So since I came over and we have, before this activity, this liturgy is taking part in local church.
Yeah.
But we want to show Chinese culture in a bigger scale. So that's why we moved this liturgy into the cathedral.
It is quite beautiful.
Yes.
If we just roll through these, you can get an idea of how gorgeous this is in the church. The priests in their vestments are usually the most beautiful things in the Mass, but on this day, quite beautiful things going on. And a reverent prayer for the blessing of the ancestors, and wonderful sermons and so on, and the Chinese people singing choir. And tell me about the Good Luck Dragons. Are they doing the right thing out here?
Yes, this is a tradition dance, and every Chinese New Year we celebrate with a dancing of the dragons or lions. It really represents the harmony between heaven and the earth, and between people and animal, and among us. So really joyful celebration.
That's quite beautiful.
Yes.
And let me just say this, you can see that whole thing live on our YouTube, on the Catholic Archdiocese YouTube channel. Wonderful to look at. We'll take a brief break now and be back for our last segment with Father Peter Zhai. Hello, and thanks for being with us with Father Peter Zhai. Now, Father, I wanted to ask you a little bit about Catholicism in China. Your family was Catholic in China. China has seen many missionaries over the past, how many centuries? 5 centuries?
Actually, the first missionary went to China is in the 8th century.
In the 8th century?
So that's not Catholic, but they are Nestorians.
Yes.
So they were there already and to proclaim Christ.
Yes.
So that's very early. Then in the 13th century, and the missionary from the West came into the country and proclaimed the gospel. So
now, what I read, and I think it's correct, basically statistically, that the Christian population in China is growing.
Yes.
Very rapidly. People are interested in Christianity. I think Protestant Christianity is 80% maybe, and Catholic Christianity is 10% or so, 20%. But what do you make of this phenomenon?
Because I think Chinese always seeking spirituality and moral support in the family as a people, and also because Christ's message is very attractive to the culture itself. And people are really open to that great message that Jesus brings to each of us. And especially nowadays, and people are materially satisfied. They have a deeper longing in the spiritual life, in their heart, where it's next step, and where they can find meaning. And probably before they could find trying to survive and trying to work for material goods. But now people have that already. What's next step? So that's why vast majority of Chinese people, especially young people, they are in college. They are also very interested in seeking spiritual nourishment.
There must be that hunger which doesn't die, and I think you're right. I'm not sure that we in the West appreciate how rapid the growth of the Chinese economy has been. We hear about it a lot, but truly more and more, a huge middle class, more and more people who are not in poverty, and people who, as you say, have enough material things but want to know more, what life is about. Very interesting. Are Catholic missionaries free to practice in China, as free as they might be?
Yes, we now have some freedom, but not totally. And hopefully we can have that total freedom very soon, and to bring gospel to the people and that message of love, hope, and faith to all the people.
And we're the next door to China here in California. It's just an ocean away. So I know you make connections with Chinese Catholics, bishops and academics and so on, right? You build bridges between us.
We have, from time to time, and we always have conventions, we have a retreat. We invite different people from Hong Kong, Taiwan, and from mainland to give us a retreat. There's always a great connection between China, and the church in China and here.
And it is the Catholic Church, which, as you know, is the Greek word that means universal church. And we are. Let me ask you, if we have about a minute left, what would you like people to remember, to take away from this program?
And I would like to thank everybody and to watch this program and to listen and my sharing. And I would like to encourage everybody to pray, especially for church in China. And may we have a freedom to worship very soon and establish a formal relationship with Vatican. And also pray for all the missionaries, especially Divine Word missionaries. We are working very hard to bring the good news to others. And also, we also want to get people involved in Chinese ministry. You don't have to be a Chinese, involved in Chinese ministry. So if you can pray for us, if you want to be a support to us, you can contact our Chinese ministry office in the Archdiocese.
They can phone you at the Archdiocese?
Yes.
They can go to your website?
Yes.
Which you've made yourself?
Yes, that's right.
And you could use people's help, I suppose, in your ministry.
Yes, great. Yes, of course.
That's wonderful. And as a last note, I think that I've read that the population of Christians in China may be 200 million in 10 or 15 years, which would make it the largest Christian population in any country in the world. So the center of Christianity is moving from the old European West to Asia, perhaps.
Yes.
Father, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for joining us and helping us talk about Chinese Catholics and the Archdiocese of San Francisco.